The call came on a Tuesday afternoon while I was reviewing quarterly projections. My mother's name flashed across my phone screen, and for a moment I considered letting it go to voicemail. If only I had. "Darling, wonderful news." My mother's voice sparkled through the speaker. "The deal is done. We've sold Webb & Associates to a trusted party who'll carry on the legacy beautifully." I'm Zara, and that was the moment my world imploded. "You... what?" My fingers went numb around the phone. "Mum, what deal? What are you talking about?" "Oh, don't worry yourself about the details. Everything's been handled. I know how you hate paperwork." She laughed that tinkling laugh that always preceded her worst decisions. "Elias has it all under control." Elias. My ex-husband's name hit like a slap. What does Elias have to do with this? Well, he's the buyer, darling. Who better to trust with our family's legacy than someone who knows it inside and out? I was already logging into our company's financial portal, fingers trembling as I entered my credentials. "Mum, I own 40% of this company. You can't sell without my... about that." Her voice cooled several degrees. "Your shares were transferred to Elias last month. Part of the deal." The screen loaded. Where there should have been millions, my account showed zeros across the board. "That's impossible. I never signed anything." "I handled it for you." "Really, Zara, you're making this more dramatic than necessary. It's what's best for everyone." "Best for everyone?" My voice cracked. "You gave my shares to my ex-husband? Given your emotional state after the divorce, we felt..." "We?" The word tasted like acid. "You and Elias have been planning this?" "Now, darling..." I hung up and dialed our company lawyer. Straight to voicemail. I tried accessing company documents. Denied. Email. Locked out. 20 minutes later, I stormed into my mother's office. She sat at her desk, perfectly composed in her cream silk blouse, not a silver hair out of place. "How could you do this to me?" I demanded. She sighed, like I was still 12 and throwing a tantrum over bedtime. "Sit down, Zara." "No, I worked 16-hour days for 15 years. I brought in our biggest clients. I developed our entire tech division, and you just gave it away to him." "Elias understands business. You understand emotions." She examined her manicure. "Look how you're behaving right now." "Because you stole from me." "I protected you? From yourself." She stood, smoothing her skirt. "The papers are signed. It's done. Take some time off. Travel. Find yourself." I laughed, a harsh sound that surprised us both. "Find myself? I know exactly who I am. I'm the daughter you just betrayed." "Don't be melodramatic." She moved to touch my arm. I stepped back. "How long?" I asked. "How long were you and Elias planning this?" "Zara, how long?" She met my eyes, and for the first time I saw something like pity there. Since before the divorce. The room spun. All those late-night strategy sessions with Elias, the whispered phone calls I'd caught him making, the way he'd pushed me to focus on clients while he handled the boring paperwork. It hadn't just been our marriage he was dismantling. "You'll thank me one day," my mother said softly, "when you're not so... raw." I turned to leave, then stopped at the door. "You know what the worst part is? You actually believe that." "Where are you going?" "To find a lawyer." I smiled, and it felt like breaking glass. "And Mum? The next time you see me, don't expect a thank you." I made it to my car before the tears came. 15 years of my life, gone in one phone call. My mother, my ex-husband, my legacy, all stripped away in a perfectly executed betrayal. But they'd forgotten something crucial about me. I wasn't just the emotional one, the one who needed protecting. I was my mother's daughter, and she'd taught me well how to wait, watch, and strike when they least expected it. I wiped my eyes, started the engine, and began to plan. 3 days of unanswered calls to lawyers later, I found myself sitting in my car outside Webb & Associates at midnight, staring up at the building I'd practically lived in for 15 years. Security would let me in. They didn't know I'd been locked out of my own company yet. "Ms. Zara." Marco, the night guard, smiled as I approached. "Working late again?" "Always." I forced a smile, swiping my badge. It still worked. They hadn't deactivated it yet. The elevator ride to the 14th floor felt like a descent into memories I wasn't ready to face. How many times had I stood in this same spot with Elias, planning our future? "We'll build something amazing together," he'd said, his hand warm on my lower back. "Trust me." I should have noticed how he always said that. Trust me. Like a spell he was casting. My office door was already open when I reached it. Light spilled into the hallway, and I heard rustling inside. My heart jumped until I recognized the silhouette. "Louisa?" She startled, dropping a stack of files. "Zara, I didn't expect... You're clearing out my office." It wasn't a question. Louisa had been on our board for 20 years, a family friend who'd watched me grow up. "I'm so sorry." She wouldn't meet my eyes. "Elias wants everything moved to storage by morning." "Of course he does." I moved to my desk, running my fingers along the mahogany edge. "Did you know about the sale?" Her silence was answer enough. "How long?" 6 months. She gathered the fallen papers. "Your mother approached the board last spring, said you were unstable, that the divorce was affecting your judgment." I laughed bitterly. "And everyone believed her. Elias had documentation, emails where you'd made emotional decisions, times you'd missed meetings because of therapy appointments." She paused. "The board voted unanimously. Including you." She finally met my gaze. "I'm sorry, Zara, I truly am." I opened my laptop, trying to access our servers one last time. Still locked out. "What documentation? I want to see it." "It's all been relocated." "You mean destroyed?" She didn't deny it. I started pulling open drawers, searching for anything they might have missed. Most were empty, but in the bottom one I found an old photo. Me and Elias at the company Christmas party 5 years ago, his arm around my waist, both of us laughing at something off camera. He was already planning it then, wasn't he? I showed Louisa the photo. This was right after we landed the Morrison account, the one he insisted I let him handle the paperwork for. "Zara, don't do this to yourself. Did you know he was sleeping with his assistant that whole year?" I tore the photo in half. "While I was working 80-hour weeks to grow this company, he was dismantling everything behind my back. My mother thought what she always thinks, that she knows best." I stood abruptly. "Where are they moving everything?" "I can't tell you that." "Fine." I grabbed my purse. "I'll find out myself." "Wait." Louisa caught my arm. "There's something you should know. Your Aunt Sylvia, before she died, she left some things in her old office upstairs. No one's cleared it out yet." I froze. Aunt Sylvia, my mother's sister, the only board member who'd ever truly supported me. She died last year, before all this started. "Why are you telling me this?" Louisa glanced at the security camera, then whispered, "Because Sylvia never trusted your mother, or Elias. She kept records." My heart raced. "What kind of records?" "I don't know. But whatever's up there, you should get it before they do." She headed for the door, then turned back. "And Zara, whatever you find, be careful. Your mother doesn't play fair when she's cornered." I waited until Louisa's footsteps faded, before taking the stairs to the top floor. Sylvia's office was at the end of the hall, untouched since her death. The door was locked, but I still had her spare key, the one she'd given me just in case. Inside, everything was covered in dust, except for one thing: a metal box on her desk, labelled in her familiar handwriting. "Legacy. If things go wrong." My hands shook as I reached for it. Maybe Sylvia had seen this coming all along. Maybe she'd left me exactly what I needed to fight back. The key to Sylvia's box was exactly where she'd always kept her important things, taped under her desk drawer, wrapped in a scrap of purple silk. My aunt's favourite colour. My mother had always hated it. Inside the box, decades of secrets spilled out in manila folders and USB drives. Emails, financial records, board meeting minutes that never made it to official documentation. But what caught my eye was a handwritten letter addressed to me. "Dear Zara, if you're reading this, they've finally done it. Your mother always was predictable in her ruthlessness. I've spent years collecting what you'll need when this day came. Start with the red folder marked 2019. That's when Elias first approached Josephine about taking control. Love, Sylvia." My hands trembled as I opened the red folder. Inside were printed emails between my mother and Elias, dating back to before our divorce. One exchange made my blood run cold. "She's too emotional to run this company, Josephine. You've seen how she gets about laying off employees." "I know, darling. We'll handle it. Just keep her focused on client meetings while we arrange the paperwork." I dug deeper. There were documents showing gradual transfers of power, subtle changes in company structure that I'd missed while buried in client work, each piece carefully orchestrated to push me out. "Oh my God," I whispered, finding a contract from 3 years ago. My signature was there, but I'd never seen this document before. I pulled out my phone and dialed the one person who'd know. "Zara?" Louisa answered, sounding worried. "Did you find something?" "This contract from 2020, transferring partial control to Elias. My signature's forged." Silence on the line. Then, "How can you be sure?" "Because I was in Tokyo that week. Look at the date. I have passport stamps to prove it." That would be illegal." "Exactly." I kept digging through papers. "Louisa, how many other documents did they forge?" "I don't know, but Zara, be careful. If they did forge signatures, then they committed fraud." I found another folder labelled Elias Leverage. "I have to go." Inside were recordings, dozens of them. I plugged in my earbuds and pressed play on the first file. Elias's voice filled my ears. "Of course I love her, Josephine, but love doesn't build empires. You understand that better than anyone." My mother's reply was cold. "Just make sure she doesn't find the prenup addendum before we're ready." Prenup addendum. We'd never had one. Unless, at the bottom of the box was a legal document I'd never seen before. My stomach lurched as I read it. According to this, I'd agreed to forfeit my company shares in the event of a divorce, but the signature date was impossible. We'd signed our prenup at the lawyer's office. This was dated 3 days later. Another recording started playing. "She'll never know. We'll keep this copy safe until we need it." I sat back, my mind racing. They hadn't just stolen my company. They'd planned it from the beginning. Every late night Elias spent working. Every time my mother insisted I focus on clients instead of paperwork. Every board meeting I'd been too busy to attend. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. "Darling, security tells me you're in the building. Let's talk tomorrow. Breakfast at the club?" I looked at the mountain of evidence around me. At the bottom of Sylvia's letter was a PS. I hadn't noticed before. "P.S. Remember the shell company we set up in 2015? The one your mother thought was defunct?" I never dissolved it. All the paperwork is in the blue folder. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction, it's resurrection. I found the blue folder, and for the first time in days, I smiled. Sylvia hadn't just left me evidence of their crimes. She'd left me a weapon. I texted my mother back. "Can't tomorrow? Too busy planning my future?" Then I pulled out my phone and dialed another number. After 3 rings, a familiar voice answered. "Iris, it's Zara. I know we haven't talked since everything. But I need your help. It's about Mom. And Elias." My sister's laugh was dark. "Finally figured it out, did you? Come over. We have a lot to talk about." Iris's apartment was exactly what you'd expect from someone who'd escaped our mother's influence. All mismatched furniture and paint-splattered canvases. No mahogany desks or crystal decanters in sight. "You look terrible," she said, opening the door. "Thanks. You look—" I gestured at her purple hair. "Different. Amazing what freedom does for your style choices." She led me inside. "Want some wine?" This feels like a wine conversation. I hadn't seen my sister in 3 years, not since she'd walked out of a board meeting after calling our mother a manipulative narcissist in front of our biggest investors. Mum had called it a breakdown. Now I wondered if Iris had just seen the truth before I did. "So," Iris handed me a glass, "they finally screwed you over. You knew they would. I tried to warn you." She sat cross-legged on her paint-stained couch. "But you were too busy being the perfect daughter to listen." "I was trying to protect the company." "No, you were trying to earn Mum's approval. How's that working out?" I took a long drink. "Tell me what you know about Elias. Where do you want me to start? The affairs? The secret meetings with Mum? Or the fact that they've been grooming him to take over Since before you even started dating? The wine turned sour in my mouth. What? Iris's eyes widened. You didn't know? Mum introduced you to at that charity gala. She'd been mentoring him for months before that. No, I met Elias through work. He was consulting on the Miller acquisition? Yeah, Mom arranged that too. Iris pulled out her phone, scrolled through some photos. Here, this is from 6 months before you met him. The photo showed Elias and my mother at some restaurant, heads bent close together over papers. How did you get this? I was dating the bartender. He used to tell me about their weekly meetings. She paused. Zara, they planned everything. Your whole relationship was orchestrated. I felt sick. Why are you showing me this now? Because you're finally ready to see it. She took the photo back. The question is, what are you going to do about it? I pulled out Sylvia's files. I found evidence, forged signatures, illegal contracts, recorded conversations. Not enough. What do you mean? It's fraud. Iris laughed. You think Mum doesn't have judges in her pocket? Lawyers on retainer? You need something bigger, something public. Like what? Like the real reason Elias married you. She got up, disappeared into her bedroom, came back with a laptop. Remember that merger deal that fell through right before your wedding? The one that would have bankrupted us? What about it? It didn't fall through. Mum and Elias tanked it on purpose. They needed you desperate enough to rush the marriage. My hands shook as I took the laptop. Emails between Elias and the merger company's CEO filled the screen. The deal hadn't failed. It had been sabotaged. How long have you had this? Since it happened. But you wouldn't have believed me then. She sat beside me. You're not doing this for fun, right? This isn't just about revenge. I met her eyes. No, it's about truth and justice. Good. She took back the laptop. Because there's more. Mum and Elias, their relationship isn't just business. What do you mean? Think about it, Zara, all those private meetings, the way she always took his side. Why do you think I really left? The implication hit me like a physical blow. No, she wouldn't. Wouldn't she? This is the woman who forged your signature and stole your company. Iris's voice softened. The question is, are you ready to expose everything? Because once we start this, there's no going back. I thought about my empty office, about years of manipulation, about a marriage that had been a lie from the start. Yes, I said, but I need help. I need someone who knows corporate law. A slow smile spread across Iris's face. You mean someone like your old flame from law school? The one Mom made you break up with because he was too ambitious? Chaz? You know where he is? Better. She grabbed her phone. I have his private number. And trust me, he'd love to help take Mom down. For the first time in days, I felt hope. Not just for revenge, but for justice. For truth. Make the call, I said. Chaz hadn't changed much in 15 years. Same intense dark eyes, same habit of running his hand through his hair when he was thinking. Only now he did it from behind a mahogany desk in one of the city's top law firms. Let me get this straight, he said, spreading out Sylvia's documents. Your mother and ex-husband conspired to steal your company through forged documents, and you want to not only get it back, but destroy them in the process. That's the short version. He leaned back, a familiar glint in his eye. God, I've missed you. Is that a yes? This is the most interesting case I've seen in years. He picked up the forged contract. And the most personal. Your mother did always hate me? Because you saw through her. No, because I encouraged you to think for yourself. He started organising papers into piles. These forgeries alone are enough for criminal charges. But that's not what you want, is it? I shook my head. I want them to feel what I felt. Public humiliation. Complete exposure. The anniversary party? Iris chimed in from the corner where she'd been quietly sketching. Mum and Elias are hosting it next month. Everyone who's anyone will be there. Chaz's eyes lit up. Including press? Society pages, business reporters, the works. I smiled. Mum's been planning it for months. Perfect. He pulled out his laptop. Because while these documents are damning, what's really interesting is this shell company Sylvia left you. He turned the screen toward me, showing corporate registration documents. It's still active, just dormant. And according to these bylaws, it has first right of refusal on any sale of Webb and Associates assets. Which means the sale to Elias could be invalidated. But better yet, he grinned, we could use it to take control of the company ourselves. How long would that take? With the right paperwork and timing, we could have everything in place by the party. He paused. But Zara, this isn't just about legal documents. You'll have to face them. In public. Are you ready for that? I thought about my mother's dismissive smile, about Elias's betrayal, about years of manipulation. More than ready. Then let's get to work. He pulled out a legal pad. First, we need to reactivate the shell company. Then we'll need to... A knock at his office door interrupted us. His secretary poked her head in. Mr. Richards is here for his 3 o'clock. My blood froze. Elias? Relax. Chaz pressed a button on his desk. Janet, please tell Mr. Richards I'm in a meeting that's running long. Reschedule him for next week. After she left, I stared at him. Elias is your client. Was... until about 30 seconds ago. He started typing rapidly. Actually, this is perfect. I have access to all his recent business dealings. Isn't that a conflict of interest? His smile was wolfish. Only if I use privileged information. Everything in these files is public record, if you know where to look. For the next few hours, we pored over documents. Chaz's legal expertise combined with Iris's insider knowledge painted a picture even darker than I'd imagined. The company sale wasn't just about control. It was about hiding years of financial manipulation. Look at this, Iris pointed to a series of transactions. They've been siphoning money into offshore accounts for years. Through shell companies that all trace back to Elias. Chaz added, your mother's hands look clean on paper, but the money trail, can we prove it? Better. He pulled up an email chain. We can show they did it with company funds they claimed were going to employee pensions. My hands clenched. They stole from our employees? And we can prove it. He looked up at me. Zara, this isn't just revenge anymore. This is justice. I thought about Marco the security guard, about Janet the secretary, about all the employees who trusted us with their futures. How do we do this? Chaz's smile was grim. We build an airtight case, present it at the party, and watch their empire crumble. But first, he reached for his phone. We need to talk to Louisa, because when this hits, we'll need someone on the inside. Why? Because, Iris said softly, someone needs to record their faces when it all falls apart. The Grand Plaza Hotel buzzed with pre-party energy as staff rushed to perfect every detail of my mother's extravagant celebration. I watched from a corner booth in the lobby bar, nursing a martini and waiting. Everything set, Louisa slid into the seat across from me, looking nervous. The board members are all confirmed. Press is already setting up cameras. And the documents? She patted her clutch. USB drive with everything, ready to plug into the presentation system. Are you sure about this? Ask me that one more time, and I might think you're having second thoughts. No second thoughts. She glanced around before lowering her voice. But Zara, I overheard Elias on the phone earlier. He knows something's coming. He's been making calls all morning. Let him. I checked my phone. A text from Chaz. Papers filed. Company's yours as of 6 p.m. Your mother's giving a speech at 7, Louisa said. Elias, right after. When are you? 8. Right when they think they're safe. I finished my drink. Did you get the guest list adjusted? Yes, though I still don't understand why you wanted your sister's art dealer invited. I smiled. Because he's not really an art dealer. He's a financial crimes reporter working on a story about offshore accounts. And tonight, he's getting his headline. My phone buzzed again. Iris this time. Mum's having a meltdown about the flowers. Perfect time to slip in and check the tech setup. That's my cue. I stood smoothing my black dress. Remember, when I start speaking, hit record on my phone, get close-ups of their faces, then send everything to the media contacts you provided. Louisa touched my arm. Zara, for what it's worth, I'm sorry I didn't stop them sooner. Make it right tonight. The ballroom was a testament to my mother's excessive taste. Crystal chandeliers, White roses everywhere, ice sculptures catching the light. The tech booth at the back was unmanned, exactly as planned. All clear? Iris appeared beside me, purple hair now elegantly styled. Mum's terrorising the florist by the kitchen. Elias is glad-handing investors near the bar. I plugged in our USB drive, quickly checking that all files were in place. Security cameras, disabled for 10 minutes. Starting now. She grinned. Dating the hotel's IT guy finally paid off. You're terrifying, you know that? Learned from the best. Speaking of which, she nodded toward the entrance. Incoming. My mother swept in, resplendent in designer silk, making a beeline for us. Iris, I didn't expect... Zara? Her perfect smile faltered for just a moment. Darling, I didn't think you'd come. And miss celebrating your triumph? I kissed her cheek, feeling her stiffen. I wouldn't dream of it. Yes, well... She looked between us suspiciously. Iris, your hair is almost acceptable. And Zara, that dress is... nice. Department store? Vintage Chanel, actually, from Aunt Sylvia's collection. Her smile tightened further. How lovely. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to check on the champagne tower. As she clicked away, Iris whispered, Did you see her face when you mentioned Sylvia? Just wait. I checked my phone again. 7:45 p.m. Where's Chaz? Already in position with the reporter. Everything's ready. Guests were filling the ballroom now. I spotted Elias working the crowd, charming as ever in his tailored suit. He caught my eye and actually winked. I'm going to enjoy this, Iris muttered. The lights dimmed right on schedule. My mother took the stage, radiant under the spotlight. Welcome, everyone. Tonight we celebrate not just 30 years of Webb and Associates, but its bright future under new leadership. I tuned out her self-congratulatory speech, watching the clock. Elias joined her on stage, all false modesty, as she praised his vision. To my favourite partner in life and in business, he raised his glass to thunderous applause. I stood, champagne in hand. Louisa's phone was already recording. Iris squeezed my arm and whispered, Make it hurt. The spotlight found me as I tapped my glass. I'd like to make a toast. My mother's face froze. Elias's smile turned uncertain. To new beginnings, I said, my voice carrying clearly through the sudden silence, and to the truth that always comes to light. The first slide appeared on the giant screen behind them, and the real show began. Isn't it interesting? I continued, my voice steady as the first document appeared on screen. How signatures can look so similar, yet be so different. The projection showed 2 contracts side by side, my real signature from 2019 and the forged one dated 3 days later. Especially when flight records show I was in Tokyo the day the second document was supposedly signed. Whispers rippled through the crowd. My mother's champagne glass trembled slightly. Zara, she warned, this isn't the time. Oh, but it is. I clicked to the next slide. Because timing is everything, isn't it? Like the timing of certain offshore transfers. The screen filled with transaction records. Red arrows highlighted the flow of money from employee pension accounts to shell companies. Darling, Elias stepped forward, his charm cranked to maximum. These are complex business matters that you clearly don't understand. I understand perfectly. I turned to the crowd. Just like I understand why Aunt Sylvia left me this. The next slide showed the incorporation documents for the shell company she'd preserved. A company that, as of 6 o'clock tonight, owns controlling interest in Webb and Associates. That's impossible, my mother snapped. The sale to Elias is final. Actually, Chaz stood up from his table, legal documents in hand. According to the original corporate bylaws that you apparently forgot about, this entity had first right of refusal on any sale. A right that was exercised today. Elias's face darkened. You can't... Already did. I smiled. But that's just business, right? Let's talk about pleasure. Like your weekly private meetings with my mother that started 6 months before you ever met me. The photo Iris had shown me appeared on screen. Then another, and another. Years of secret meetings documented by date and time. Fascinating timing, I continued. how these meetings always preceded major changes in my life, like when you convinced me to focus on clients while you handled the boring paperwork. Camera flashes started popping as reporters realized they were witnessing something bigger than an anniversary party. "Zara, enough!" My mother's voice cracked. "You're embarrassing yourself." "No, I'm exposing you. Both of you." I nodded to Louisa, who pressed play on her phone. Elias's voice filled the ballroom. "Of course I love her, Josephine, but love doesn't build empires." The colour drained from my mother's face. Elias lunged for the tech booth, but security, quietly briefed earlier, blocked his path. "The company is mine now," I announced. "Legally, irrevocably. But don't worry, the FBI will be very interested in those pension fund transfers. I'm sure they'll want to discuss them with you both. Soon." "You ungrateful little—" My mother started forward, but Iris stepped between us. "Careful, Mum. The cameras are rolling." As if on cue, the financial crimes reporter stood up. "Mr. Richards, Mrs. Webb, would you care to comment on these allegations of fraud and embezzlement?" The room erupted in chaos. Reporters shouted questions. Board members hurried to distance themselves. My mother's perfect composure finally cracked as she realized her carefully constructed world was crumbling. "How dare you?" she hissed at me. "After everything I've done for you." "You mean to me." I held her gaze. "And that's the difference. I'm not doing this for revenge. I'm doing it because it's right." "Security!" Elias called desperately. "Remove her from the premises." "Actually," I smiled, "as the new owner of Webb and Associates, I think you'll find they work for me now, and you two are the ones who need to leave." As they were escorted out, my mother turned back one last time. "This isn't over." "You're right." I raised my glass. "It's just beginning." The room had gone quiet, all eyes on me. In the silence, I addressed the shocked crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the disruption, but Webb and Associates was built on trust that was betrayed. Starting tomorrow, we're restoring that trust, beginning with a full audit and the immediate restoration of all employee pension funds." Applause broke out, tentative at first, then growing stronger. Iris appeared at my side with a fresh champagne glass. "Not bad, sis. Not bad at all." My phone buzzed. A text from Elias. "Want to talk? There's something you don't know." I showed it to Iris. She laughed. "Think there's actually more?" "Only one way to find out." I typed back. "My office, tomorrow, 9 a.m. The night wasn't over yet. Elias arrived at my office exactly on time, looking considerably less polished than usual. His designer suit was wrinkled, his eyes shadowed. He stopped short when he saw Iris sitting in the corner, sketching. "I thought we'd talk privately. Those days are over?" I gestured to the chair across from my desk, my mother's old desk. "What's this thing I don't know?" He sat heavily, running a hand through his dishevelled hair. "Your mother? She's not just emotionally invested in me." "What does that mean?" "She groomed me, Zara, for years, not just as a business partner." His voice cracked. "She saw me at a charity event when I was 25, said I reminded her of your father, started mentoring me, introducing me to powerful people. Then she showed me your picture." Iris's pencil stopped moving. "She orchestrated everything," he continued. "Our chance meeting, the consulting job, even our first date. She told me exactly what to say, what to wear, what wine you liked. Why are you telling me this now?" "Because it wasn't supposed to go this far. I was ambitious, yes, but I never meant to—" He swallowed hard. "The more I got to know you, the more I actually fell in love. But by then, I was in too deep. Your mother had evidence of things I'd done, deals I'd helped her hide. So you chose power over love. I chose survival." He pulled out his phone, played a recording. My mother's voice filled the room. "Remember, darling, one word from me and your career is over. Now, about that prenup addendum." I felt sick. "She blackmailed you?" "Among other things." He wouldn't meet my eyes. The relationship between us, it wasn't just business. It was obsession. Hers, not mine. But I let it happen. Iris stood abruptly. "I need air." She fled the office. "Why should I believe any of this?" "Because by telling you, I violated the NDA she made me sign years ago. She'll take everything I have left." He placed a USB drive on my desk. This has proof of everything. Use it however you want. I deserve whatever comes next. I stared at the drive. You could have told me. Years ago, you could have told me. I know. That's my real crime. He stood. For what it's worth, those years with you, the real moments, not the orchestrated ones, they were the happiest of my life. After he left, Iris returned, eyes red. Well, that explains a lot. Does it excuse anything? No, but it makes Mum even more twisted than we thought. She picked up the USB drive. What are you going to do with this? I thought about it for a long moment. Send it to the FBI. Let them add it to their investigation. And Elias. He made his choices. I turned to my computer, pulled up the company files. Right now, we have employees who need their pensions restored. Iris smiled. Look at you, all CEO-like. Someone has to fix what they broke. I started typing. Speaking of which, how would you like to head our new charitable foundation? Focus on arts education, supporting young entrepreneurs. Me? Running something? Why not? You've got better instincts than anyone gave you credit for. She considered it. Can I keep my purple hair? Make it blue if you want. We're rewriting the rules now. My phone buzzed. A news alert. My mother had been spotted boarding a private plane to a non-extradition country. Of course. Let her run, Iris said, reading over my shoulder. She's lost everything that really mattered. I nodded, turning back to my work. There were employees to reassure, clients to contact, trust to rebuild. The company would survive, stronger, more ethical, more human. Later that night, I visited Aunt Sylvia's grave with a bottle of wine and 2 glasses. The autumn air was crisp, leaves crunching under my feet. You saw it all coming, I said quietly, pouring 2 glasses and placing one on her headstone. The manipulation, the lies, all of it. You could have exposed them yourself, but you gave me the tools instead. You knew I needed to fight my own battle. I raised my glass to the stars, to new legacies, built on truth this time. A warm breeze rustled the leaves, and somewhere in the distance, a night bird called. It sounded like approval,